Hello everyone, welcome to Business School 101. Since the 1990s, the world has witnessed an unprecedented proliferation of regional trade blocs that promote regional economic integration. By 2020, nearly all of the World Trade Organization's members had participated in one or more regional trade agreement. The total number of regional trade agreements currently in effect is around 300. So, what is regional economic integration? How can it affect the global economy? Are there some differences among regional trade agreements regarding levels of integration? This video will answer these questions for you. Regional economic integration is an agreement between groups of countries in a geographic region to reduce and ultimately remove tariff and non-tariff barriers to the free flow of goods, services, and factors of production between each other. Since World War II, Europe has been more ambitious than any other country in the world regarding the movement toward regional economic integration. On January 1, 1993, the European Union, or EU, formally removed many barriers to doing business across borders within the EU in an attempt to create a single market with 340 million consumers. By 2020, the EU had a population of more than 500 million and a gross domestic product of $18 trillion, making it second only to the United States in economic terms. However, due to many economic and political concerns, the United Kingdom, which was a founding member of the EU, voted to leave the organization in 2016. In January of 2020, British lawmakers and the European Parliament voted to accept the United Kingdom's withdrawal, which has cast a shadow over the future of the European project. Because of its significance and complexity, we will learn more about Brexit in another video. In addition to Europe, similar moves toward regional integration are being pursued elsewhere in the world. For example, Canada, Mexico, and the United States have implemented the North American Free Trade Agreement, or NAFTA. Ultimately, this arrangement promises to remove all barriers to the free flow of goods and services between the three countries. While the implementation of NAFTA has resulted in job losses in some sectors of the American economy, most economists argue that the benefits of greater regional trade outweigh any costs. However, the Trump administration criticized NAFTA, blaming it for significant job losses in the United States, and therefore negotiated a new agreement known as the United States-Mexico-Canada Agreement, also referred to as the USMCA. Additionally, South America has also made advancements regarding regional integration. In 1991, Argentina, Brazil, Paraguay, and Uruguay implemented an agreement known as Mercosur to start reducing barriers to trade between each other. Although progress within Mercosur has been slowing down, the institution is still in place. There are also active attempts at regional economic integration in Central America, the Andean region of South America, Southeast Asia, and parts of Africa. There are 5 levels of economic integration that are possible in theory. From least integrated to most integrated, they are free trade area, a customs union, a common market, an economic union, and finally, a full political union. Let's discuss each of them individually. Level 1. Free Trade Area. In a free trade area, all barriers to the trade of goods and services among member countries are removed. In the theoretically ideal free trade area, no discriminatory tariffs, quotas, subsidies, or administrative impediments are allowed to distort trade between members. However, each country is allowed to determine its own trade policies regarding non-members. Therefore, the tariffs placed on the products of non-member countries may vary from member to member. Free trade agreements are the most popular form of regional economic integration, accounting for almost 90% of regional agreements. Level 2. Customs Unions. The customs union is one step further along the road to full economic and political integration. A customs union eliminates trade barriers between member countries and adopts a common external trade policy. The establishment of a common external trade policy necessitates significant administrative machinery to oversee trade relations with non-members. Most countries that enter into a customs union desire even greater economic integration down the road. The EU began as a customs union, but it has now moved beyond this stage. Other aspiring customs unions around the world include the current version of the Andean Community between Bolivia, Colombia, Ecuador, and Peru, but so far its implementation has been flawed. The Andean Community established free trade between member countries and imposes a common tariff of 5 to 20% on products imported from the outside. Level 3. Common Market. The next level of economic integration, known as a common market, has no barrier to trade between member countries, includes a common external trade policy, and allows factors of production to move freely between members. Labor and capital are free to move because there are no restrictions on immigration, emigration, or cross-border flows of capital between member countries. Establishing a common market demands a significant degree of harmony and cooperation on fiscal, monetary, and employment policies. Achieving this degree of collaboration has proven very difficult. The European Union functioned as a common market for years, but it's since made even more progress toward economic integration. Mercosur, the South American grouping of Argentina, Brazil, Paraguay, and Uruguay, hopes to eventually establish itself as a common market. Venezuela was also accepted as a full member of Mercosur, but then was indefinitely suspended from the group in December of 2016 due to its undemocratic policies. Level 4. Economic Union. An economic union entails even more economic integration and cooperation than a common market. Like the common market, an economic union involves the free flow of products and factors of production between member countries and the adoption of a common external trade policy, but it also requires a common currency, harmonization of members' tax rates, and a common monetary and fiscal policy. Such a high degree of integration demands not only a coordinating bureaucracy, but also the sacrifice of significant amounts of national sovereignty to that bureaucracy. The EU is an economic union, but it is an imperfect one because not all members have adopted the euro. Additionally, differences in tax rates and regulations across countries still remain, and some markets, such as the market for energy, are still not fully deregulated. Level 5. Political Union. The move toward an economic union raises the issue of how to hold a coordinating bureaucracy accountable to the citizens of member nations. The answer is through a political union in which a central political apparatus coordinates the economic, social, and foreign policies of the member states. The EU is on the road to at least a partial political union. The European Parliament, which plays an ever more important role in the EU, has been directly elected by citizens of the EU countries since the late 1970s. In addition, the Council of Ministers is the controlling and decision-making body of the EU, and it is composed of government ministers from each EU member. Regional economic integration has both benefits and costs. The major benefits of creating regional agreements include the following. First, trade creation. Regional agreements create more opportunities for countries to trade with one another by removing barriers to trade and investment. Due to either a reduction or removal of tariffs, cooperation results in cheaper prices for consumers in the bloc countries. Studies indicate that regional economic integration significantly contributes to the relatively high growth rates in less developed countries. Second, employment opportunities. By removing restrictions on labor movement, economic integration can help expand job opportunities. Normally, employees would have to deal with visas and immigration policies in order to work in another country. However, with economic integration, employees can move freely. It also leads to a greater market expansion and technology sharing, which ultimately benefits all economies. Third, consensus and cooperation. Member nations may find it easier to agree with a smaller number of countries. Regional understanding and similarities may also facilitate closer political cooperation. Although most economists and business scholars believe that the overall effects of regional economic integration on regional and global economies are positive, it is still true that not every country, industry, company, and individual can equally benefit from these integrations. This is why we have recently seen many countries hit the brakes to their regional integration progresses. The major costs that accompany the creation of regional agreements include the following. First, trade diversion. Member countries may trade more with each other than with non-member nations. This may mean increased trade with a less efficient or more expensive producer simply because they are in a member country. In this sense, weaker companies can be inadvertently protected with the bloc agreement acting as a trade barrier. Essentially, regional agreements can form new trade barriers with countries outside of the trading bloc. Second, Employment shifts and reductions. Nations may move production to cheaper labor markets in member countries. Similarly, workers may move to gain access to better jobs and wages. Sudden shifts in employment can put a strain on the resources of member countries. Third, loss of national sovereignty. With each new round of discussions and agreements within a regional bloc, nations may find that they have to give up more of their political and economic rights. One notable feature of economic integration is the loss of individual central banks that control monetary policy. This leads to less national autonomy, and the responsibilities of central banks are instead delegated to an external body. This outside control can become troublesome in terms of managing a cohesive fiscal and monetary policy among many different countries. Fourth, rising crime rate associated with immigration. In many European countries, local residents complain about the increasing number of criminal cases that are caused by illegal immigrants. In 2018, for example, an official report from the Germany government found that the immigrant group makes up about 2% of the overall population, but contains 8.5% of all suspects. Now, let's do a quick review of today's topic. Regional economic integration is an agreement between groups of countries in a geographic region to reduce and ultimately remove tariff and non-tariff barriers to the free flow of goods, services, and factors of production between each other. There are 5 levels of economic integration that are possible in theory. From least integrated to most integrated, they are a free trade area, a customs union, a common market, an economic union, and finally a full political union. Major benefits of regional economic integration include trade creation, employment opportunity, and consensus and cooperation among members. Although most economists and business practitioners believe that the overall effects of regional economic integration on regional and global economies are positive, not every country, industry, company, and individual can benefit from these integrations equally. There are 4 major costs incurred with regional economic integrations. These are trade diversion, employment shifts and reductions, loss of national sovereignty, and rising crime rate associated with immigration. So, what do you think about the influence of regional economic integration on the global economy? How much will the U.S. be able to benefit from the new trade agreement with Canada and Mexico? Please leave your thoughts in a comment below. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.